What was your treatment like? How were you treated at Weston General? Dave in Burnham-on-Sea. Hi, Dave. Good morning.
Hi, John.
A former nurse, I'm told.
Yes, I was many years ago.
But it's more about your own treatment. What's happened to you, and what have you had done?
Well, I was in Weston 6 weeks ago, and I was there for 8 days and had major bowel surgery.
Okay. Was this emergency or elective?
It was elective surgery, but it came on fairly quickly, so not a lot of time for me to prepare.
Right. What was the treatment like?
I have to say Weston were absolutely fantastic. And as a nurse, I must admit I did watch everything that happened to me with a fairly careful eye. And they were really, really good. The staff were caring, they were compassionate, they were professional. Even the little things that don't cost the hospital any money, like introducing yourself and letting you know what they're going to do, they did all that sort of thing absolutely right. So I can't speak highly enough for them.
So those are the sort of things, Dave, as you will know as a nurse, those are the sort of things that get you the outstanding CQC reports, because they are the basics. Because that's about dignity and respect, which is very, very high up on any Care Quality Commission report, which is about treating you as a patient and as a person, not as a piece of meat going through the factory.
Absolutely, and they did that really, really well.
So let me ask you, Dave. You're obviously recovering well, and I hope that recovery continues. I'm sitting here doing a daily phone-in. I've done it for years on BBC Radio Bristol. We talk about the NHS. There's always a problem with the NHS. Up pops Hugh Pym or Matthew Hill outside a hospital. It all looks, crisis, wringing of hands, and there have been some pretty horrible things that have happened, mid-staff being a prime example. But do you recognise the NHS that we talk about in the media, the crisis-ridden, hot political potato, one party's doing it down, the other party's doing it down, NHS? Is that yours?
Well, the NHS is an incredibly cherished institution, isn't it? We all love our NHS, and yes, it is underfunded, and it does need more resources into it, and it struggles. I mean, West is a prime example. They don't have enough doctors there, so they can't keep the A&E department overnight. But within the resources they have, they work really, really well. But it's always going to be that political hot potato, isn't it? Because one party will use it in order to bash the other one over the head with. But it's our wonderful NHS, and we need to cherish it, and we need to support it and talk about it when it does things well, not just when it does things badly.
So, I'm very glad to have you on the programme as well. But again, it's almost a religious experience, isn't it? For some people, the NHS is sort of, don't touch it. It's perfect and it's got its problems, but we all love it. The reality is, as you say, it needs more resources. Philip Hammond likely to tell us how the £20 billion extra that it's due to get on top of the money that Simon Stevens has already got for the NHS in his budget in the next week or so. But I've asked health secretaries going back further than Andy Burnham as to how much money the NHS needs, and no one can ever tell you. Because it's a bottomless pit. It will always need more than you put into it, won't it? Well, that's the problem, Dave, isn't it? Is that if you give it £50 billion more, if you gave it the promised 350 on the side of a bus a week, and it gave it that, it still wouldn't be enough. What's the answer?
It's the nature of healthcare, isn't it? That the more you do, the more you will have to do. The more money you spend, at the basic level, keeping people alive longer, they're going to develop more illnesses and need more money spending. So it's always going to spend more than we put into it. But
so it's a victim of its success.
Well, it is. But I think as a society, we need to make the choice that actually we do need to spend more than we do. And we need to make those political decisions, and it needs to be more of a priority than it is.
One last question, Dave, before I let you get back to your recovery, because it sounds like a fairly major operation you've had.
It is. I'm still not working yet.
Well, no, I'm sure you won't be for a while. That operation, which came, as you use your words, came on very quickly. I wonder whether a generation ago, and I mean this in an objective medical way, a generation ago I probably wouldn't be talking to you.
Well, techniques improve all the time, don't they? And the skills of what surgeons can do and the things that they have available to them are always increasing. So, yes, that's quite a possibility.
Well, thank goodness skills and medical advances continue, and your recovery continues as well. Dave, thank you for joining me this morning. Good to talk to you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's go to
Right.
Sarah in Nottinghamshire.